Welcome to CCN Midday News. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 15th of June. 2 black trans women were killed in the U.S. in the past week as Trump revokes discrimination protection for trans people. Video raises question about the in-custody death deemed an accident by Tennessee officials. The DA criticized Atlanta police killing of Rayshard Brooks and says charges should come this week. The Sheriff's Department says foul play not suspected after black man found hanging in tree near Victorville City Library. Also, police investigate a hanging death of a 24-year-old black man in Palmdale, California. Buffalo officials ask state to probe the firing of a black officer who stopped a white colleague in a chokehold. A black man is repeatedly stabbed at a bar by a white man who made racist comments. Let's get to the news. 2 black trans women, Rita Milton in Ohio and Dominique Remy Fells in Pennsylvania, were killed early this week amidst the increasing outcry from activists to protect black trans people, and as the Trump administration reverses protection for transgender people in the U.S. healthcare system. According to local authorities, Milton was shot and killed during a robbery in Liberty Township, Ohio on June 9th, according to the LGBT advocacy group, the Human Rights Campaign. 25-year-old Milton worked as a home aide and attended the University of Cincinnati. 2 people have been charged and arrested with her murder. The third person, Tyrese Cross, has not been apprehended, according to the local police. One day earlier, on June 9th, Dominique Remy Fells was found dead in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Police Department confirmed to Time that on Friday her death was ruled a homicide and the investigation is still ongoing. Trans women of color, particularly black trans women, are disproportionately affected by fatal violence, impacted by the intersection of racism, sexism, homophobia, biophobia, transphobia, according to the HRC report. Including Fells and Milton, at least 14 transgender or gender non-conforming people have been violently killed in 2020 alone. In 2019, at least 26 transgender or non-conforming people were violently killed, the majority of whom were black trans women. Over 130 transgender or non-conforming people were killed between 2013 and 2018, according to these reports. The numbers may be even higher. The killing of transgender or gender non-conforming people often go unreported, misreported, advocates say. Okay, so here's my commentary on these 2 tragic deaths and the growing deaths of transgender women of color. If we're in this, as far as the fight to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter, that all Black lives matter, and this needs to stop, and we need to kind of really have investigations done and people to really meet justice and not be able to kind of it be swept under the rug when it's time for conviction by simply saying, oh, I did not know that person was genetically born something different, and so I freaked out and had a lapse of judgment, and so forth. And a lot of times the people that have been charged in some cases in the murder in which they may have encountered the young lady uh, in some type of situation, either dating or some sort of hookup situation, and then this happens. Um, there definitely needs to be some laws changed all around. I think it's highly unfortunate, but it is definitely something that we do not need to sweep under the rug. If we're gonna fight for Black lives to matter, then all Black lives should matter, and we should be just as outraged. Within hours of his 911 call outside of a convenience store, Sterling Higgins lay dead after video shows him being forcefully restrained on the floor of an Abington County Jail in Union City, Tennessee. A surveillance camera video from that morning 15 months ago shows the correctional officer gripping Higgins' neck and head for nearly 6 minutes, and part of that time his arresting officer with one foot on him. Then Higgins' limp body was dragged to a restraint chair and wheeled into a cell. The video, submitted in a wrongful death lawsuit filed in federal district court in Tennessee, is at the heart of another claim that yet another Black man unnecessarily died in the custody because of law enforcement misconduct. All the defendants have denied, the allegations in legal filings. Those videos were never shown, however, to a grand jury. Last October declined to indict any of the officers, including the first reported by the WSPD. The 27th District Attorney Tommy Thompson told CNN he didn't see the need to show jurors the video because he already had decided not to seek criminal charges against the officers. Higgins' death raised questions not only about the event of that night and the officers' use of force, but it also about the police training and practices in how to handle people behaving bizarrely or whom seem to be mentally distressed. His estranged wife told investigators that he was diagnosed with paranoia schizophrenia, but refused to take the medication prescribed to him. Okay, here's my commentary on this situation. This is an incident that happened about 15 months ago. However, with the death of George Floyd and the protests that have been sparked not only nationwide but worldwide, it has brought a lot of old cases back up to be reinvestigated and things looked at differently. And I mean, I think it's a good thing for for all of the families involved to get the answers that they deserve and the justice where it's warranted. This case of Sterling Higgins, the 37-year-old man who was in custody, in police custody, and wind up dying from an apparent accident, quote unquote, that the Tennessee officials say happened. A lot of times, I think police have gone from being a community-based protection thing, if that was ever such a thing that they were to begin with. But I mean, we all know the truth. But if that was the guise in which you were going, I guess, to parade to the rest of the other people that this is what you were doing and, you know, we're the good guys type of thing and situation, how things always escalate to this degree is always questionable. This young man is in custody, and how does he then meet his demise in your custody? And then you go, oh, well, it was an accident. All the time long, you were basically not being so forthcoming with all of the information and details in regards to this person's death. And when did the police department be experts on mental health anyway? I just don't understand how As much as they always talk about mental health, especially when there is a Caucasian person who commits a violent crime or something, they're quick to talk about mental health and somebody being mental ill, but immediately when dealing with people of color, if that is a situation, it still is met with violence and aggression, to the point where even in your ability to restrain, so to speak, you still cause the death of someone that was under your protection and your guise at that moment. So I just find it a bit curious. Fulton County District Attorney criticized the police officer's handling of the fatal shooting of Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta on Friday and said that the decision on whether to bring charges could come around as soon as Wednesday. Brooks, who did not seem to present any kind of threat to anyone, and so the fact that it would escalate to his death just seems unreasonable, DA Paul Howard told CNN on Sunday. Brooks, 27 years old, was shot dead by an officer on Friday night at the Wendy's drive-thru in the city after police moved to handcuff him for suspected driving under the influence. According to videos from the scene, the video shows that Brooks took an officer's taser during the attempted arrest and then fired the taser at the officer and just ran away. One officer then fatally shot Brooks 3 times with his service weapon, according to authorities. The killing has had rapid repercussions in Atlanta, one of many cities where protesters have called for an end to police violence and racism in the wake of the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The officer who shot Brooks was fired and the police chief, Erica Shields, resigned.
I can't blame nothing on her. It was my decision. I said, hey, if she can't get her order together, and I'm not feeling uptight right now, I should park right here. Go to sleep. I'm not feeling I'm just not feeling right.
What do you mean you're not feeling right?
I said,
do you think maybe that you had too much to drink and you realized that you shouldn't drive, so you parked?
I mean,
would that be accurate to say?
Yes, sir. Mr. Roth, yes.
All right, so your girlfriend dropped you off, you got into the car, you backed out, you pulled up, and you're like, damn, I'm too drunk to drive. And so you pull back into the parking spot. Right?
I call her and like, babe.
Oh, is that accurate?
If it's a couple moments I got on the phone with her.
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, hey, damn, you want number 1 or number 2 or?
But
she's like,
would you agree?
You take care of that. You're a man. You figure out what we're going to eat tonight.
All right. Let's move past that. Would you agree that you've had too much to drink to drive?
I mean, I can focus, Mr. Roth. I can focus.
Would you agree that you had too much to drink to drive?
I haven't had, to the point where I can't focus.
Okay.
I was a little tired ahead of the day because we just came from North Carolina.
Do you think that you're safe to operate a vehicle right
Absolutely,
now?
Mr. Roth.
And how much have you had to drink?
I had 1.5 margaritas, Mr. Roth.
1.5 margaritas?
Yes, sir.
Margaritas?
Yes.
Have you had anything else today? Any other type of drink?
No, sir.
You haven't had any daiquiris?
I haven't had no daiquiri. I had 1.5 little small cups of margarita. But I'm up now. Y'all got me up with this.
Got you up.
I'm up now.
Hey, will you take a preliminary breath test for me?
What's that?
It's a little handheld machine. I have you blow into it, and that lets me know if you're positive or negative for the presence of alcohol in your breath.
I've been drinking.
Okay.
I do say that.
Okay.
But I'm only going a few minutes down the road.
I got you. I'm just asking, will you take a preliminary breath test for me?
I mean, I don't know what it is.
I just said it's a little handheld machine. Lets me know if it's positive or negative for the presence of alcohol. That's part of my investigation.
You know it is the presence. I've been drinking.
I know. I can tell. That's just part of my investigation.
But if I have to park this car right here, right now,
it's just a yes or no. We don't need to go back and forth about it. It's just a yes or no.
But what if I take this test and I don't care about? I can walk home. I don't have to park.
Why would you walk home?
I just don't want to be in violation of anybody. I can walk. My sister's house is right here.
Do you think that you'd be in violation of something if you were to drive your vehicle?
If that's less possible for me to park here, lock the car up, and do everything that I need to do within the presence of you guys, I can just go home. I have my daughters there right now. My daughter's birthday was yesterday.
All right. Hold on, Mr. Brooks. Will you take a preliminary breath test for me? It's yes or no.
I don't want to refuse anything.
It's yes or no. It's completely up to you.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Just wait here while I grab it.
Oh, man.
So, just trying to make sure, man, you're safe to drive, that's all.
I know, man.
You scared me a little bit because you were sleeping in there, so that's, why I was making sure you're okay. And then that's...
I know. You just doing your job.
All right, just take a deep breath in. Put your mouth over the mouthpiece. Blow as hard as you can until I tell you to stop. Blah, 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 blah. Stop. Very good.
I just had a few drinks. That's it.
How many?
1.5. Like I said, I was into the second cup. I told her, babe, let's go. Because I'm hungry.
What kind of drinks did you have?
I'm not sure. It's something she ordered. She said top shelf or whatever.
Top shelf what?
I'm not sure. It was, like I said, it was her birthday, and it was my daughter's birthday intent to, have a good time. And I said, babe, I'm hungry. Let's go. My baby's mom, she was there. I said, babe, go ahead. I'm cool. Here's the money for the blow-up bed tomorrow. Here's the money for, to enjoy herself tomorrow. Just, give me a burger or something. Just take me home. I'm ready to go.
So you had about 1.5 drinks, but you don't remember what kind of drinks they were?
No, sir.
All right.
I really don't, Mr.
All right. I think you've had too much to drink to be driving. Put your hands behind your back for me. Here, put your hands behind your back. Hey, stop fighting! Stop fighting! Stop fighting! You're gonna get tased! You're gonna get tased! Stop!
Mr. Ross!
Stop! Come on, man! Stop! You're gonna get tased!
Mr. Ross!
Hands off the fucking taser! Hands off the taser! Stop fighting! Hands off the taser! Stop fighting! Got my fucking taser! Oh, 63.
Come on, man. Man, that's messed up, man.
Okay, here's my commentary on this sad and another unfortunate story of an unarmed black man being killed in the hands of police officers. I'm tired. I'm tired of these stories. I'm tired of this always happening when there are just as many documented videos of they're having the same altercation, same type of interaction with non-people of color, and the people don't end up dying. I don't know what is in the mindset of, this scuffle, and then, you have this scuffle with someone at first who was not being any type of way with you, it could have just been as simple as you may have known he was inebriated and say, I would ask that you leave your car here and walk to your sister's and maybe come back and get it in the morning, or send somebody else to come get it. And I'll wait here until somebody else comes to get your vehicle or something. I don't even know how this escalated to the man dying. When you use your taser and the person continues to run and you up the voltage and the person still continues to run. Well, what do you do? Like, what are you trained for? You're not trained to run and do all this type of thing, so why not do those things? And why is it always escalating with, the minute you run, okay, you're gonna shoot them for what? For that minute traffic stop with all of them people standing there with children in cars, people in line at a drive-through looking, waiting to get a meal. You could have hit anybody doing that. The lack of just respect for other humans, period, is disgusting. It's in plain sight. It's like, what more do you need? I mean, to really get to the root of the systematic problem of racism, even in policing. It's rooted in slave catcher. It's rooted in a system that has long been festering and growing and gaining new momentum every day, to the point where now it's just spilling over. It is really just spilling over to in a different era, in which you have all this video, you have all these things, and there's still no regard, for life. There's only a regard for certain lives, but there's not a regard for all life and protecting and keeping everyone safe. Because that was reckless on any level. You could have had ricochet bullets hit a kid, anything. I mean, that was just totally uncalled for. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department says foul play is not suspected in the death of a black man who was found hanging in a tree in Victorville. On May 31st, 2020, at about 7 a.m., Victorville City Fire Department was dispatched to the Victorville City Library at 15011 Circle Drive, where they discovered a 38-year-old Malcolm Harsh deceased nearby. The sheriff's department told the VVNG that the death of Mr. Malcolm was still an active investigation. The family of Mr. Harsh reached out to the Victor Valley News shortly after the incident and said they were still seeking answers, but initially decided to wait for more details from the Sheriff's Department before releasing a statement. On Saturday, June 13th, the family reached out to the VVNG and provided the following statement. Our brother Malcolm Harsh died on May 31st. His cause of death has not been released to the family yet, but we are concerned that his death will be labeled as a homicide, as this is what was communicated to us upon confirmation of his death on the morning of June 1st, stated by the family. Amidst the current racial tension and following the protesting the night prior to his body being discovered, we were truly troubled to learn of his passing, particularly how his body was discovered. He is an African American man whose body was found hanging from a tree. The deputy who called to confirm his death asked questions about drugs or alcohol use. He made a statement about how the coronavirus has hit people really hard and said that the USB cord was used to hang himself, according to the statement. Authorities in Southern California, city of Palmdale, are investigating the death of a 24-year-old black man found hanging from a tree near City Hall. which they originally described as an apparent suicide, prompting outrage in the community. A passerby reported seeing Robert Fuller's body around 3 a.m. on Wednesday. Emergency personnel responded and found that he had appeared to have had died by suicide, Los Angeles County Sheriff's officials have said. Fuller's death has generated intense scrutiny, especially after the nationwide protests rebuking the police killing of George Floyd. In a surprise turn, the case brought to light the death of another black man found hanging from a tree on May 31st in Victorville, a desert city of about 45 miles, which is 72 kilometers east of Palmdale. On Saturday, hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Palmdale, a city of about 150,000, marching from the park where Fuller's body was found to the sheriff's station. More than 100,000 people signed a online petition demanding a full investigation into Fuller's death. Community members confronted city officials at the contentious news briefing on Saturday, asking why were they quick to label his death a suicide and demanding an independent autopsy. It's my commentary on both of these cases of apparent suicide by hanging of these two black men in close proximity of each other in California. And call me a conspiracy theorist by all means, but I just find it a bit much. There's more to this, and I'm hoping that an investigation does reveal that there may be some foul play going on here, to where in which somebody is murdering people and guising it as hangings. Because the one incident, the dude is like 6'2", and those of us with iPhones, your iPhone cord, I know I buy some religiously. It's almost to the fact that every couple of weeks I have to buy a new iPhone cord because it'll break of some sort. So to claim that a USB cord was found around the person's neck at that weight, well, not even at that height, and I can just imagine the weight, but even still, he would have to. It would be a lot. That would be a bit of a stretch. I really find that to be a bit of a stretch. I think someone is murdering these people, and so far they've done it twice, and it's just something to look into. It does not look good. Any hanging, a black person hanging themselves, should be looked at and scrutinized far deeper than just quickly just saying suicide. With the history of lynching in this country, it should be investigated. And if it happens to be a suicide after deep investigation, then so be it. But initially, it should be investigated right off the bat to make sure and maintain that it is not a hate crime. And I think what a lot of these counties in Los Angeles are doing, they don't want the heat from this George Floyd protesting, the Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff. They don't want the heat for these things, so they'll sweep it and just say, oh, it's suicide, and keep it moving, because they don't want the media attention in their small little town. Well, I'm sorry, your small little town somewhere, there's a serial killer out there killing black people, okay, and hanging them, allegedly. That's my thoughts. So I think that definitely some deep investigation needs to be done, because this is getting really out of hand. The City Council in Buffalo, New York voted this week to call on the State Attorney General Letitia James to investigate a 2008 firing of a black officer who stopped a white colleague from choking a suspect while making an arrest. The incident occurred back in 2006 when Officer Horn was fired 2 years later because the Buffalo Police Department claimed that Horn put her fellow officers' life at risk, including the white officer, whom she stopped after he put the suspect in a chokehold. Buffalo is now asking the state to look into the reason why Horn was fired. I applaud, in my commentary for this, I applaud the officer for standing her ground and standing up against excessive force. And that's what good cops should do. Yeah, sometimes in like this case, her job was then put in jeopardy because she went against something that a colleague of hers was doing, but she felt it right to stand up against and, let the chips fall where they may. And she was going to then, fight, take it the legal route and fight for her job or fight for whatever was denied her. And I think when we talk about good cops or good officers, then that's what needs to happen. There needs to be officers standing up, willing to sacrifice their standings and their jobs to what is right. And then, if you need to battle it out in court, do so and get get whatever back pay or anything that you need, that you are entitled to, because it does belong to you. I think that definitely needs to happen. There needs to be something in which people are held accountable for their actions, and people who whistleblow on these things are not criminalized as well, and then wind up being treated such a way to where in which then they're terminated because you put your fellow colleagues' life at risk, or you put other officers at risk. At risk how? When you're doing something deadly that can cause someone to lose their life, and somebody saying, "Hey, man, that's going a bit far. That's unnecessary." A white man stabbed a black man multiple times outside of a Texas bar after making several racist comments, police say. Montana Marburn, age 27, was taken into custody following a Wednesday night incident at the Mickey's Pub in Mineral Walls, about 50 miles west of Fort Worth. He was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, police say in a press release. The victim, 33 years old, has not been identified and was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. The incident began shortly before midnight when Mineral Walls police were called to the bar for a report of a large fight and stabbing. When officers arrived, Amburn had fled. Several witnesses, however, at the scene were able to provide the officers with the name and description of the suspect. The press release states, witnesses related to the suspect has made several racial offensive statements just before management at the bar began to escort him out. Amburn was found at home several hours later and taken into the hospital with a head injury. He was later arrested and booked in the Palomino County Jail. It is not immediately clear if he has a lawyer. Okay, here's my commentary on this situation. I'm just trying to understand how I really am confused at how we don't see the difference in how one person is apprehended compared to the next person that may do something, how they're treated in the eyes of the police. So here we have a situation where this white man says some racial slurs, then proceeds to stab the black man multiple times. Thank God his injuries are not life-threatening. However, he was still stabbed multiple times. So then, therefore, that the person that you're about to apprehend possibly has a weapon, right? Correct, because that individual was stabbed multiple times. But no, what happens? You go hours later, because it was hours by the time they apprehended the suspect, take the suspect to the hospital first. And then after he gets his head, bandaged up for whatever from this altercation that they had, then you take him to the jail to be booked. I really don't get how people are not, at this point you're choosing not to pay attention to that. That's when people say, "Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't see color." That's what happens when you don't see. This is what happens when you don't see color, because you refuse to see it. You refuse to see that people are treated differently. Here, a man was stabbed, and he still was able to live. They didn't think that he was an immediate threat when they went to go pick him, when they finally found his location and where he was hours later. They didn't figure he was a threat. They actually took him to the hospital to get his wounds checked up on, and then took him to the hospital. Yet we just saw a story, yes, in 2 different states, but we just seen a story of a man who may have been inebriated, yes, but it's not a crime, because he could have parked his car in that parking lot and walked his ass to wherever he needed to walk to. And as police officers, that's what you should have done. But to escalate it to where you felt, okay, at this point now, I need to end this person's life. Yet on this spectrum, this person's life is spared, even though this person physically had a weapon and could cause bodily harm not only to that man, which he did, but to you as well as an officer. But nobody saw it of any threat. Right, you didn't see a threat at all. That's why he was able to chill out hours later, complain about his head probably when y'all picked him up. So then y'all took him to the hospital to get his little head checked out. And then you decided to take him, after he got checked out, to the jail to get booked. Come on, like, if you can't see it, you won't see it. If you can't see it, you're choosing not to see it. That's all I got to say. Have a great day. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.